everyone. We would like to welcome you all to the 4th annual TCIS Middle School Speech Competition. We are happy to have you all here with us today. My name is Lara.
And my name is Nadia. Today's middle school speech competition is for grades 5 to 8. All students in these grades competed against one another and finalists were chosen.
Today, each finalist will give their persuasive speech. The speeches will range from 3 to 5 minutes, and we have 3 wonderful judges here with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Rock, and Mrs. Jasmine for helping us out and judging the competition. Each one of our finalists worked really hard to get to this stage of the competition.
After each finalist gives their speech, the judges will tabulate the results, and the results will be out next week. The following prizes for first, second, and third places are 3,000 baht, 2,000 baht, and 1,000 baht.
Please give each of our contestants your full attention as they speak. We will be calling up each contestant to come to the stage one at a time. I hope you are as excited as we are to hear all the speeches.
Before we start, we would like to remind everyone to keep your mask on and stay socially distant. And also, please turn off your phone so you can have your full attention on our finalist. And I would like to tell each finalist to be bold, be heard, and speak out. Don't be shy. Now it is time to get this competition started. The first person to speak today is Ivy. Please welcome her up to the stage.
Bad grades, not understanding at school. Have you ever thought about running away from home, or that everything you did was wrong, or having to face the fear of your parents hitting you? Hitting children is one of the most common mistakes that parents make, even though they always want what is best for their children. Some kids around the world still get hit by their parents. Even though many parents hit less, some still do it, and this is not a good thing. Here's why. It should be illegal for parents to hit their children because you are physically harming them. You and your child will be unhappy, and hitting them actually makes them behave badly instead of behaving well. First, hitting children means you are physically harming them. Children's skin are fragile and they might get injured if you hit them hard. This is also similar to child abuse. In 1979, Sweden was the first country to ban the corporal punishment of children. Many parents use dangerous objects such as a ruler, a hanger, or even a belt to hit their children with without any hesitation. That causes the child to suffer mentally and physically. Secondly, you and your child will be unhappy. Your kids will cry, and most parents get a lot of tension when their kids cry. Your kids will ignore you and your words to them sometimes because you give them and yourself a lot of stress. Hugging or apologizing to them won't make them feel any better because the sting still hurts. They will not be close to you and less likely to want to have family time because they fear you and have anger or sadness. You will make your child disappointed, and of course, you won't be happy in the future. Lastly, hitting children is counterproductive because it actually makes them behave badly instead of behaving well. Many parents say that hitting makes their children remember what they did wrong, but this is the exact opposite. Children who face punishments such as hitting every day make them develop more aggressive behaviors. Besides, studies also say that hitting predicts negative behavior changes. No studies are showing that kids improve just by hitting them. Other experts also say that hitting causes similar emotional and harm as abuse to children. Another important thing is that your child will use you as a model to hit other people, and that is not a good thing. In summary, hitting children should be illegal because it makes them actually hurt and sad. And the kids are still young and they need all the help and support they can get from their parents. They want to have fun and be happy, not get hurt or injured. Your kids can behave well if you don't use the hitting technique, and plus, you can deal with your kids with a lot more different ways than just hitting them. If this problem continues, kids around the world will get hurt every day just because parents are still hitting them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivy. The next contestant is Boone. Please give Boone a round of applause.
Who decided that we should have 2-day weekends? Well, Henry Ford did, and it was a big mistake. When he made the system, he probably would have thought that it would make the world better, but it really didn't. This is why we should have 3-day weekends, and I have reasons why. My first reason, there would be more time to prepare for your next work time. If you have more time to prepare for your next work time, then you can be less stressed and get more sleep. When you get more sleep, you can be more concentrated on your work and be more productive. Scientists actually conducted a study on 4,100 U.S. workers and found out they lost almost $2,000 just because they didn't get enough sleep. They also did another study in Oxford University and gave a few kids 3-day weekends for a few weeks. And they found out that the kids turned their work in faster and didn't procrastinate as often as they would with 2-day weekends. This shows how impactful this topic can actually be. My second reason is that there would be more time to spend with family and friends. If you have more time to spend with family and friends, you build social skills. When you build social skills, you can do better on group projects and have more charisma. When you have more charisma, you can have more self-esteem, and more self-esteem equals a healthier lifestyle. A person with a lot of charisma would be Leonidas of Sparta, for example. My third reason is that it would be easier to recruit employees. If it's easier to recruit employees, then the workplace that you're working at will gain more money. And it would be more successful. For example, you were a teacher and you wanted to get hired to a school, but you didn't know what school to go to, and you see the school with 3-day weekend privileges. You would surely try to get hired, right? I know I would. But you might be asking, wouldn't the teachers just be lazy and not teach? Well, yeah, they could, but we can just fire the ones and keep the ones that are determined to keep their 3-day weekend privilege. I'm sure no one wants to lose that rare privilege. In conclusion, I think we should have 3-day weekends because there would be more time to prepare for the next work time, more time to spend with family and friends, and it would be easier to recruit employees. I hope this changes some of your minds about the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boone. The next contestant is Sunny. Please welcome her to the stage.
Marine animals die each year of plastic waste alone. Every day, animals mistake plastic as food or get entangled in it. As a result, they die. Plastic trash is found in 90% of seabirds. It also contributes to global warming. Plastic can lead humans to cancers, birth defects, impaired immunity, injured contraceptions, and many other ailments. Plastic can pollute the environment and can even make plastic waste. These plastic is not biodegradable. Plastic is not only affecting us, but it is also affecting our animals and our earth. Plastic must be banned. First, plastic is harmful to the wildlife. Plastic is the biggest problem for our ecosystem as well as the wildlife. Turtles mistake plastic as jellyfish, which is their main source of food. Animals can't digest plastic, so the plastic remains in their stomach forever, which means they end up dying. reaches water, they slowly turn into microplastic. Microplastic are millions of tiny pieces of plastic. They cannot be seen with the human naked eye. Animals accidentally eat this toxic microplastic without knowing it can affect their own health. As a result, plastic continuously kills animals. Animals are living things, feel, and have souls of their own too. They're just like us. Thus, we should try to understand and spare a small percentage of our time learning about this animal suffering from our plastic waste, which will be a turning point for all those animals out there suffering from our plastic waste. In addition, plastic pollutes our environment. Every time you see plastic on the road, it's a daily routine for us, and I bet you have at least felt like that once before. Even if we just throw plastic down the river and we can't see it anymore, those animals can become the victims and we're the criminals for them, and we should be responsible for their deaths. Do you want to live in a world full of plastic waste and in an unhealthy environment? Of course not. Every single minute, 1 million plastic bottles are sold. Plastic pollution is never slowing down, and our landfills are filling up non-stop. Did you know 12 minutes of plastic use is 1,000 years of pollution? How can you think of using plastic knowing that you're ruining our environment? And in 2050, there will be more plastic than the total amount of fishes in the sea. Every time we go to enjoy the beach, do you want to see plastic-filled ocean, sand, and dirty water? Don't you ever feel sorry for those innocent animals needing to live in a world full of plastic just because of our action? Plastic is non-stop polluting our world. Lastly, plastic is not biodegradable. Only 8% of plastic is recycled around the world. Plastic is not only affecting our environment, but it is actually also affecting our health because it leaches toxins to our food. For example, fish eat plastic and we eat those fish. We're eating fish filled with plastic. We should be the solution for this problem, not the part of this problem. We don't realize we're destroying our world by doing what is easiest for us, which is using plastic. Again, plastic must be stopped from being used. In conclusion, plastic has a very bad effect on our environment. It isn't and is letting the world's animals suffer. We should reduce plastic. For example, we can use paper bags instead of plastic bags, refillable water bottles instead of water bottles. These small actions could save many lives around the world and be a big help around the world. Let's ban plastic. Let's make a world a better place by banning plastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. The next contestant is Pin. Please give her a round of applause.
How much money is enough? Well, some people say a million, a billion, or maybe a trillion. Well, how much money is too much? Some people haven't gotten an answer to that yet. Yet some people still think, is too much money a good thing or a bad thing? Many people say money can't buy you happiness. I think that's wrong. It is clear that having too much money isn't bad. This is because it's important, you can use it on others, and it can buy you valuable and important life skills. First of all, money is important, and everyone can agree. You use it to buy food, shelter, and other important things. It can also give you a more comfortable life. That also means that you don't have any financial problems, and you can use your money more freely. You can buy almost anything you want, not only what you need and the cheapest one. Second of all, you can use it with others. This helps both physically and emotionally. First of all, the stranger, they give a better life, and they also get a happier life. For the giver, it doesn't affect them because they already have a lot of money. But still, they also become happier. A Harvard School study by professors and colleagues show that the stranger who gets the money gets a happier life, and the giver also gets a happier life. It's simple to give away money. It's so amazing how much a little bit of money can change someone's life. Third, you can use it for important and valuable life skills. Knowledge is important, and knowledge is taught in schools. Well, how do you get into schools? You pay money. Experience is also important. You can use it to get a new job faster, or you can use it to get a higher salary. And also, you can use it to buy valuable and important things. Like maybe you need to go to the hospital. If you don't have any money, how are you going to pay for the service? If you need a car ride home, how are you going to pay for the car ride home if you don't have any money? If you don't have enough money for these things, what are you going to do? I know a lot of people might say, money ruins your personality, and it makes you think that you're better than others. Well, even though this is true, it doesn't always happen. Thinking that you're better than others is bad, but it doesn't come from the money, it comes from you. Still, if you feel that way, you can have someone you trust remind you. It's simple to change your personality and thoughts. You only have to be determined and willing. And even though it is a possibility, most people are still both nice and rich. Therefore, having too much money isn't bad. This is because it's important, you can use it on others, and it can buy you valuable life skills and important things. Maybe your family got injured and you need the money. It also doesn't mean that you think that you'll be better than others. You just have to be grateful for what you have, not hope to have more. Wouldn't you want to live a more comfortable life? Go and earn more money. You won't regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pin. The next contestant is Zoe. Please give her a round of applause.
Imagine a world where people are treated as equals and not treated differently because of how much money they have. Or a world where people aren't going to do anything for money because they have just enough. Yes, you need money to live, but you don't need too much money. You just need enough. Too much money is a bad thing because it's kind of hard to get into a good relationship with someone. You might be used to solving your problems with money, and you might be famous and have absolutely no privacy. Firstly, if you have too much money, it's hard to get a good relationship with someone because they might be friends with you just because of your money. And they might trick you into giving them your money so they can also be rich. And they can just use you for popularity and just go around bragging that they have a rich friend. And next, you might be used to solving your problems with money all the time. And you might think that it's fine to do something wrong or do something against the law and just get away with it because you have so much money. Yes, money can be a problem solver, but it's better to learn your lesson and not do it again. And also, if you have too much money, you might be famous and have no privacy at all. Usually, when you have just enough money, you can do anything you want and be a little reckless in life and have fun. But if you're a celebrity or if you have too much money, you can't do anything reckless in life, and you can't have any fun. And anything you do that the public doesn't like, you'll get judged. And sometimes you just hate all the attention given to you, and you just want to be left alone. In conclusion, there is no doubt that having too much money is a bad thing because you might not get your very much wanted privacy, and you can't do anything you want freely. Also, it's hard to get into a good relationship, and it's hard to trust people. And lastly, you might be used to solving your problems with money and gain bad habits from it. So, don't you want to live in a world where people are treated as equals and not treated differently because of how much money they have? Or a world where people aren't judged because of how much money they have? Thank you.
next contestant is in. Please give her a round of applause.
Countryside is better than cities. Living in the country is better than living in the city. Living in the countryside can make you have good health, and it is nice atmosphere, and it is safe. Countryside is a natural place which has clean air and a beautiful panorama of environment, and it is healthy for you. Living in the countryside will give you better health than living in the city, and living in the countryside have less people than in the city, so not a lot of cars. That means not a lot of traffic that creates pollution. Next, it has clean air. It has nice atmosphere too, because countryside people are so kind, and this is from our personal experience. One time we ran out of something, so we have to borrow our neighbor, and he said anytime. So I think countryside people are so kind. Next, when we go to the market, we always get discount, and this is very true because I have to go to the market with my grandma, and then we always get a discount. We end up spending over an hour at the market. Next, it is safe. I think countryside is a safe place because everyone will look out for each other, so locking your doors is entirely optional. I think people might say living in the countryside is more hard and difficult than living in the city, but I think living in the countryside can make you a stronger and more independent person. To sum this up, as we can see, living in the countryside can make you have good health, and it has nice atmosphere, and it is safe. Countryside is a place where you can find peace. So don't you think living in the countryside is better than living in the city? Thank you.
Thank you, In. The next contestant is Jaden. Please give Jaden a round of applause.
What is the purpose of art? It's to express yourself, right? Films are considered art. It's a way to express yourself and tell the story you want to tell on the big silver screen. So when you're paying for a Marvel movie, are you paying for real art by someone incredibly passionate? Or are you paying a factory? By supporting these films, you're basically voting with your wallet and saying, yes, I want more corporate garbage, please. You are the problem. Stop supporting factory movies. They go against everything art stands for. They completely flood the market and don't allow any other movies to thrive. And there's just so much manipulation in the industry. So what is a factory movie? A factory movie is a film made solely for money. It's not made to challenge the audience in any way. It's actually made to appeal to people. Examples of factory movies are Marvel movies, Disney movies, Pixar movies, pretty much every action movie, etc. What is the point of factory-produced art? There's no soul to it because there's no real artist behind it. It's like the factory production scene in The Holy Mountain. You'll get nothing substantial out of factory movies other than jolly entertainment. Do you really think Disney made The Lion King 2019 because it had a story they really wanted to tell? Get real! Factory movies go against everything art stands for and doesn't give us anything substantial in return. So what movies do you typically see in the theaters? Most of them are probably factory movies. They completely dominate the market. There is no question about it. The Lion King 2019 made $1.6 billion with mixed reviews, where Good Time had amazing reviews, but only made $4.1 million. They're made to be successful. They don't take any risk whatsoever. They literally have test screenings so they can adjust the film to what the audience wants. Then what about the Oscars? Aren't they the ones to represent great films? Well, the Oscars have their own problems, and to boost their viewership, they have to nominate popular movies. That's why Joker and Black Panther got so many nominations. Normal movies also often get overshadowed by factory movies, just because there's so many of them. Martin Scorsese said that Marvel movies are like theme park rides and aren't actual cinema. He got a lot of backlash for it, but is he really wrong? Factory movies completely dominate the market and don't leave any other room for other movies to thrive. Look at Disney as a company. What do you see? You see a clean and friendly brand, right? Well, if you look behind the scenes, you see a bunch of manipulation, unoriginality, and propaganda. Disney has a representation problem. Representation isn't really a problem. It's how Disney uses it that's the problem. Basically, Disney adds a black character, or changes the character's gender. And first you think, what's the problem here, right? Well, Disney only does this so they can get praise from the media, which leads to more promotion for their film, which leads to more money. For example, in the Force Awakens poster, Finn is big and bright on the American poster, right? Well, for the Chinese poster, they shrunk him down because they want to make more money in China. So the next time you read an article about how much Disney cares about representation, just know, it's not representation they care about, it's money. All studios also like to bank off nostalgia. The biggest and worst examples are the live-action Disney remakes. It's sad now, there are more sequels, prequels, and remakes coming out than wholly original movies. Stop giving factory movies their money. They go against everything art stands for, they completely flood the market and don't allow any other movies to thrive, and the way they manipulate the audience is absolutely insulting. By supporting these films, you're basically giving your standard and soul away as a human being. But you keep watching. You keep supporting these mega corporations because that's how our society works. You keep seeing the same bland and lifeless movies over and over again because you're used to them. You want to see the same formula sprinkled in every movie you see. It's like eating the same meal every day. Change forces you out of your comfort zone, and it seems people don't want that anymore. No one wants to be challenged or surprised by films anymore. Do you realize what great movies you're missing out on by only watching factory movies? Films are now closer to products than actual art. At some point, there won't be any artists behind anything. Books would be written by bots, and paintings would be generated by bots. I don't want to live in that world, and I don't think you want to either. So I give you a choice. Either keep supporting factory movies and see the slow decline of integrity and individuality in our society, or stop supporting factory movies and give passionate artists hope that they can make it in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaden. The next contestant is Amanda. Please give her a round of applause.
Get into college. Make money. This is your future. We all hear this from our parents, teachers, and counselors to encourage us to prepare for our bright futures. We are razor focused on our grades, class sections, and preparing for our careers. Students do need math, but how does math class prepare you for money management? What we need is a foundation of life skills to take with us as we become adults. Schools, including TCIS, should teach life skills for students independent living, for them to be financially literate, and for them to become exemplary citizens. First, schools should offer learning life skill opportunities. Schools could offer a class including topics such as how to budget, manage a household, and prepare for home safety. According to research, employers are looking for far more than just academic success. Employers are also looking for complex thinkers and independent lifelong learners. Wait, aren't those some of our expected school-wide learning outcomes at TCIS? Second, isn't it important for students to learn to know how to manage money and live within a budget? As adults, we have to pay bills, do taxes, and know the importance and the differences between a credit card and a debit card. According to Stand and Money, ideally you start saving in your 20s when you first leave school and begin earning your paychecks. That's because the sooner you start saving, the more time your money has to grow. A life skills class can teach us how to manage our own money and our bank accounts. Third, you'll be exemplary citizens. Life skills will give us experience in leadership roles and allow us to handle our own personal responsibilities. The more self-sufficient we are, the less chance we are of being a burden to society. As adults, we'll be happier and healthier with less stress, knowing how to take care of ourselves. Just like how author Jeff Willis said, succeeding in life isn't an accident. Knowing life skills will set you up for success and happiness. In conclusion, it is very clear that schools should teach life skills for students' independent living, for them to be financially literate, and become exemplary citizens. However, some people still argue that English and science and math are the things that will get you into university. Although you'll still need to know how to take care of yourself and to be successful. Learning life skills can not only help, but also improve your future. In today's world, there's still adults who doesn't know how to pay taxes and rely on their parents for help. So I'm encouraging TCIS and other schools to start teaching life skills for our independence and success. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. The next contestant is Fatian. Please give her a round of applause.
It seems to me that anyone whose library consists of a Kindle lying on their table is some sort of a bloodless nerd. Quoted author Penelope Lively. What are Kindles? Kindles are an e-reader made by Amazon. You can buy the book from Amazon and download them to read on your Kindle. It became popular because of its lightweight and unlimited access to books, making people stop visiting libraries and stop reading actual paper books. Libraries shouldn't be replaced by Kindles. Not only do they let you spend lots of money, they're also bad for your eyes and has lots of technical issues. Reading e-readers such as Kindles cost you too much money. The CIRP, or Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, held a survey asking American Kindle users how much they spent on Kindles per year. And believe it or not, the average is $1,233, which is the same as 38,000 Thai baht. It's kind of funny, because instead, you could go to a local library and read the exact same books there for free. When you're reading a Kindle, it'll run out of battery, and you'll need to recharging it. And recharging it means a rise in your electricity bill, and you might not have enough money to pay for food, clothing, and other necessities. Kindles aren't good for your health. As said by the Best of Health organization, when you're reading Kindles for a long time, you start getting eye strains, headaches. Your visions will start becoming blurry, and before you know it, you'll be making visits to the eye doctor and eventually start wearing glasses. A study by the Harvard Medical School stated that blue light coming from e-readers such as Kindles, smartphones, tablets, and laptops disrupt your sleeping pattern, slowing down your hormone melatonin, making it harder and longer for you to fall asleep, causing you to feel more tired and alert the next morning. Getting enough sleep is very important. Not only do they let your body rest, it also lets your body grow during the night, so you'll be fully charged and ready the next day. Evidently, Kindles are bad for your health and eyes and are very harmful too. Kindles have lots of technical problems, they break easily and doesn't give you any protection at all. Lots of people order Kindles because of their lightweight, but after using them for 1 year, they realize that Kindles suddenly stop working. Some Kindle users can't read the books that they purchase, and some Kindles start skipping pages by itself, and some Kindles shut down and can't reopen again. And why is that? That's because Kindles last only 1 year at most, making you spend more money to buy new Kindles every single year. Imagine accidentally dropping your book into a toilet. You can still fish it out, dry it off, and you can still read the book, right? But if you drop a Kindle, you're pretty well done. quoted award-winning author Stephen King. Let's say you were recharging your Kindle and you accidentally spilled some water on it. You were trying to save it, but in the process, you might get electrocuted and Kindles might cost you your lives. A couple of years ago, my mom went to a local library. On the way home, she sat on the bus. Suddenly, she realized a group of men standing behind her. She didn't think of anything suspicious, but when she got down, she realized there was a knife hole in her bag. But luckily, nothing was stolen. That's because she had several large bugs on top of her wallet and other belongings. But what if my mom was stealing a Kindle? Her things, including the Kindle, will definitely be stolen. Actual books could save your lives. They're also good for self-defense, especially hardcovers. Now, you might be thinking, Kindles let you read many books to at least 600,000 titles. How's that a bad thing? Well, to read Kindle Unlimited, you need to pay at least $10 per month, making that $120 per year. When instead, you could go to your local library, which has around 20,000 books, and read there for free. Even though public libraries might not have as much books as Kindle Unlimited, it doesn't have that fewer books, since 20,000 books are already a lot. Kindles mustn't substitute libraries. Not only do they let you spend lots of money, they're also bad for your health and are very fragile. When you're reading an actual book, and when you're reading a Kindle, it's very different. When you're reading an actual book, you get to go to wonderful new places and go on adventures with amazing friends. You get to understand what the author is trying to say and what the book is trying to tell you. But when you're reading a Kindle, you feel bored because you're just staring at a screen full of words. Here's a little activity. Grab a book from the library or one you already have at home. Search that book up on an e-reader and read both versions. Which way lets you understand the book more? Even though Kindles are easier to carry around and have lots of books, they're also bad for your health, lets you spend a lot of money, and doesn't give you any protection at all. Therefore, why should you spend money on something that can break you? Thank you.
Thank you, Fatia. The next contestant is Raymond. Please give him a round of applause.
It goes without saying that the people for the ethical treatment of animals are ethical, right? That is not the case here, and is one of the reasons why PETA should be reformed. As the name suggests, PETA is an activist group fighting for the betterment of animal treatment. If PETA aims to become an organization supported by more, they have to change their methods of killing the animals in their shelters, using extreme forms of raising awareness, and supporting unreasonable beliefs. First, the dogs and cats that are saved by PETA are not truly saved. Euthanization is justified as mercy killings. Some animals were rightfully ended from their suffering, but others that PETA staff said were perfectly fine were still put down. In one case, a family's chihuahua was taken off their porch by PETA staff to be euthanized. How would you feel if you woke up one day to find your dog missing from home? According to a report by TCIS, a Virginia government agency, the dogs and cats in PETA's care have an average of an 80% death rate and only a 7% adoption rate. The remaining 13% must live in poorly conditioned shelters. In total, upwards of 30,000 animals were killed within PETA's shelters. This was so severe that Virginia lawmakers had to define a private shelter as a place where animals find a new home. Are these unrestricted killings considered ethical? Second, PETA utilizes extreme advertisements and protests to draw attention to their cause. It is very effective at drawing negative attention from the media and building a bad reputation for themselves. The objectification of women is commonplace within these extreme advertisements, which often portray women as animals. PETA even compared cows to rape victims and putting naked pregnant women in a cage for a protest for Mother's Day during Mother's Day. Another thing that PETA excels at is disrespecting individuals and groups of people. They insulted Colonel Sanders at his grave, and publicly stated that Steve Irwin deserved his death because he tangled with wild animals. Not only that, but KKK, Holocaust, and murder victims were compared to animals. PETA is unethical towards both animals and humans. Third, PETA believes in unreasonable beliefs. The whole point of their organization is to fight for a utopian ideology where animals aren't mistreated. As PETA quotes, animals are not ours to experiment on, eat, wear, use for entertainment, or abuse in any way. The usage of animals is so integrated into our society that it would be practically impossible to stop using them to our benefit. There would be a global depression if animals suddenly aren't being used. What is something PETA is willing to say to get people to support their cause? They are willing to say, milk causes autism. This claim is downright false pseudoscience and proves that and shows that PETA is willing to deceive the public. Third, although PETA is littered with faults, they have done some good things, such as helping pass animal cruelty laws in Taiwan, stopping the worldwide usage of animals in crash tests, and preventing the US military from using dogs as shooting targets. These are all small steps towards preventing animal cruelty, and prove that PETA is capable of making a change. This is why PETA should be reformed, not banned. As shown in the Charity Navigator's website that rates organizations based on their effectiveness, PETA has an overall rating of 2, meaning they often underperform in their charities. In conclusion, the current state of PETA is unacceptable, and changes have to be made to their methods. Dog and cat treatment goes against the core beliefs of their organization. Offensive things are said and done, idealistic and nonsensical beliefs are supported. Is PETA doing all of this for the animals? Or are they lunatics trying to justify their actions by deluding themselves? If you're an animal lover, instead of relying on such an organization to incite change, you can donate to your local animal shelter, adopt an animal for yourself, or avoid animal services that involve animal cruelty. Before following a hive mind, think about all the things you can accomplish on your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond. The next contestant is Ingrid. Please give her a round of applause.
Stated by the economist, Mark J. Perry. As we've learned from countless examples throughout history, the main difference between capitalism and socialism is this. Capitalism works and is the best economic system. A capitalist society gives us the human principle of freedom. It encourages and promotes creativity and is also the most effective poverty-killing machine. First and foremost, a capitalist society allows us to grasp the idea of a basic human principle, freedom. This suggests that we, as human beings, own our labor. We get to decide what we want to trade that labor for and the value of our own labor. People have the freedom to put any product out on the market and set their own prices. Companies like Apple set outrageous prices for their products, which immensely boost their income, resulting in their $64.7 billion in revenue as of 2020. New and smaller companies can still compete as long as their product is innovative, desirable, and marketable. Secondly, a capitalist system encourages creativity and innovation in every aspect of life. For some people, that means getting a job that pays a decent wage. Then, there are the others who start their own businesses and have to utilize their sense of creativity to compete with big companies or
even come up with a whole new industry. The heated sense of competition between rival companies fuels the constant and urgent need for creativity and innovation. As a result, the economy tends to not only grow in wealth, but be in a constant, rapid, persistent development. An example of this would be between two of the world's largest technology companies, Apple and Samsung. These two companies have a heated sense of competition and constantly release new, innovative products with futuristic features, such as the iPhone 12, with a ceramic shield that increases its durability, and the Samsung S21, with its industry-leading 3-camera system. Lastly, capitalism is the most efficient way to create wealth and reduce poverty. After World War II, capitalism thrived in the West. War-torn countries were able to rebuild themselves and prosper into global powerhouses. China, on the other hand, had Mao Zedong, who destroyed their chances of prosperity when he turned to the ways of communism, which led to China becoming a land of widespread poverty during his reign. Deng Xiaoping decided to end this humiliation when he rose to power in the late 70s by adopting the free market. He started this economical reform with a test in a small countryside town called Shenzhen. Foreign companies were able to invest in a capitalistic free market. Today, the average annual income of Shenzhen is now $54,000 US. China's drastic growth and its current position in our economy is all attributed to capitalism itself. People say that monopolies create unfair situations for small businesses and make it hard for them to succeed in such an unbalanced business environment. I believe that these people are wrong. The automotive industry is heavily monopolized, but Elon Musk was able to earn a comfortable spot in this through his pioneering ideas. He created Tesla, a young yet prominent electric car company that, according to the New York Times, earned a total of $721 million in 2020. There are always ways for success. You just need to imagine an idea and put in the work. In conclusion, capitalism is the best way to ensure prosperity and success in society and in individuals. It provides us with the necessary conditions for freedom and helps to continue and modernize and evolve our society. It is also the most effective poverty-killing machine that has ever existed. Therefore, capitalism is the best economic system. Hence, I quote Albert Einstein, "Capitalism has brought with it progress, not merely in production, but also in knowledge." Thank you.
Thank you. The next contestant is Chacha. Please give her a round of applause.
I didn't know it was abuse until I nearly died. Quoted by Abby Blake, a survivor of domestic abuse. I'm guessing many of you here have heard about domestic abuse issues, correct? And you tend to assume that because you're not directly involved, it's none of your businesses. And this is your problem. Because people will think that because they've never experienced it, it's something for them that they shouldn't care about. Two words that we can all agree do not belong together are family and violence. It's a kind of oxymoron describing the terrible reality can lead to lifetime scars on people. But first of all, what is domestic violence? And is it worth caring about? Domestic violence is a pattern of any behavior in which the purpose is to gain power or control over a loved one. And it is responsible for the loss of over 30,000 lives each year in the hands of an intimate partner. Violence is an appalling human rights violation, but it is not inevitable, and together we can all eradicate this issue. There are often misconceptions that when an alcoholic who commits domestic abuse becomes sober, they'll no longer be violent. Pretty crazy, right? But to make things clear, alcohol is never the sole reason of domestic abuse. Many of you may know that perpetrators are the cause of domestic abuse. What causes someone to be a perpetrator? Abusers may learn violent behaviors from growing up in a household where domestic abuse is considered normal. Damien Teradic, the founder of the Stop Violence in Home campaign, reported that the rates of abuse are higher among women whose husbands were abused as children or saw their mothers being abused. And this validates my point that the childhood of perpetrators can actually influence their behaviors. And as a result, these behaviors can spread throughout society, creating a never-ending cycle of kids of new generations unwittingly adopting these behaviors. Now, many of us would like to think that if we were the victims, we would get up and leave. And I totally see where you're coming from, but it's much more harder than that. Victims stay with perpetrators for all sorts of reasons. They love them, they fear them, they have kids with them, or simply because they have nowhere to go. Oftentimes when victims are to leave, they're taking a big risk. Because not only are they leaving with small amounts of money, they're risking their lives. 70% of domestic abuse murders happen once the victims leave the relationship. And that's why some of them turn to domestic violence organizations for help. But there is an extremely high risk of not being able to find a refuge. National Homeless Center reported over 60% of all requests were not able to meet those for housing, meaning that victims would either get lucky or live in places where living conditions are unsatisfactory. And because of this, some people return back to their abusers. A question you'll probably be wondering right now is, what would happen to the survivors? Well, just because they escaped from the hellhole doesn't mean their world will suddenly turn into a living paradise of rainbows and unicorns. The World Health Organization stated that violence has impact on the survivor's health, which in some cases can be fatal. Physical, mental, and behavioral health consequences can persist long after the violence has stopped. And it can take years for them just to adjust to a safe environment. But unfortunately, in some worst cases, some never recovered from the trauma and turned to drugs or self-harming methods as a coping mechanism. Now, take a second and try to put yourself in the victim's shoes. How would you feel to be abused and threatened by someone who you truly love and thinks love you back in return? You'd find this topic extremely hard to speak up about. But let me make one thing clear. You are not alone, and domestic violence should never be considered a taboo topic. Family violence happens to everyone, no matter how wealthy or how smart you are. But things have gotten worse during the lockdown, because not only did it drastically change their lives, but people are made to stay home, which in abusive households, that can cause things to spiral. The world of domestic abuse can be isolated, lonely, and filled with fear. So I highly encourage you to reach out and let them know you're there for them. Simple interactions like these can actually provide them tremendous relief. But one person can't do this alone. It takes many hands and many voices to break the chains of those who are victimized. And I believe with all of us and the world's help, we can all end this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaja. The next contestant and the last contestant is Max. Please welcome him to the stage.
Imagine yourself arriving home after a long, relaxing summer break. But as soon as the captain lands the ship and you walk out that walkway, you instantly realize something was wrong. Because there was no one waiting for the next flight, no one selling tickets, and no one sweeping the floors. Now this might seem like a scene straight from an apocalypse movie, but it's not. Believe it or not, this will be the future of humanity if we don't fix, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems right now, which is poverty. Now I'm sure all of you is very familiar with the word poverty. To me, poverty represented a person that we helped once in a while by donating money or volunteering to help them. But after I looked deeper into the world of poverty, I realized poverty wasn't just a simple concept with simple consequences. For example, if we don't eradicate poverty as soon as possible, we can be dealing with not having enough people to work jobs in the future. And if we actually give these people the proper education and opportunity, they can make so much money and name for their country. But lastly, solving poverty is like solving a ticking time bomb. Because as we're talking right now, more and more people are dying because of poverty. And as I said, solving poverty isn't just helping poor people, it's also helping out the future of humanity. Because according to UNICEF, about 1.5 million people die because of poverty each year. And this might only seem like a fraction of the world's deaths, but sooner or later, these numbers will catch up to us and run us dry from humans to work jobs in the future. Talking about jobs, according to CNBC, about 2.9 million jobs appear in the US and just the US each year. And if we don't save these 1.5 million people from dying because of poverty, there won't be anyone left to work these 2.9 million jobs in the US. But if we actually give these people the proper education and opportunity to work for these jobs, they can make so much name and money for their country. And lastly, solving poverty is like solving a ticking time bomb. Because as we're talking right now, more and more people are dying because of poverty and more are falling into poverty. And our time has been cut in half because of the recent pandemic, COVID-19. I'm sure all of you know that COVID-19 isn't as dangerous to us middle classes and high classes because we have proper medications and proper social distancing. But the people in the slums, on the other hand, I have personally visited the slums of Klong Doi, the biggest slum in Thailand. The sight I saw there was horrifying. Children as skinny as they can be, thinking they're living the perfect life. Teenagers who are supposed to be enjoying their golden age are now on the floor sick, on the bridge to death. Elderly people who are supposed to be enjoying the last years of their life, retired, are now working their backs off just to buy scraps of food for their family. It's not just me who have seen these horrific sights before. Field research of UNICEF and other scientists can all confirm that there's no such thing as proper medications or proper social distancing in these slums. But after hearing all this, some people might still think it's still not worth it to solve poverty because we can't afford it, and we should spend our money on something else more valuable to humanity, like finding energy sources to power humanity's future. To that I say, poverty isn't a problem we can fix all in one at one time. We have to do it slowly, but to ensure we make it in time, we have to start now. And to advance the future of humanity, we need 100% of humanity's power, and 10% of that is stuck in poverty.
People who see food as something so valuable, but it's something for us that we eat and throw away every day. People who see water as essential for them to live, but it's something for us that we don't even see the value in. When I sat in the slums of Klong Doi, I sat there shameful, knowing I can't do anything. But if we just try, together, me, you, and the whole world, we can solve poverty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. And that brings us to the end of our speech contest. The judges will be meeting to calculate the results, and the winners will be announced next week. We would like to thank you, the audience, for your attention and participation, and for coming today. Speech contestants, please stay here for a group photo. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.